Good morning. Today I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about what it is I do and how I facilitate training, workouts, coaching with my clients, and how I've done so since 2013/14, which was a big transition period for me. So in the beginning, let me just give you a little history. In the beginning, I started just writing programs for people. I relocated across the country, and so I had a client base that some of which wanted to continue with the training philosophy that they'd been operating under my tutelage. And so I wrote programs. We kept touch, via email, text, those formats. I'd link videos if I needed them for anything new or for explanations. And so that's how that went for quite a while. In 2017, January of 2017, I started training people via FaceTime/Skype. So these were live sessions, live training sessions. And I tried to approach it the same way I did training sessions in the gym with my regular people, in a completely organic fashion, meaning somebody would come in for their workout, we would have a little quick discussion, or I'd talk to them while they're warming up, and then I would get a feel for their energy, where they were at, maybe in their programming. That would also play into the decision on what we'd do that day, or how hard we would go, or what the priorities and the focus would be. But generally, we'd just start moving. We'd start moving, and then the training would build from there. And the sessions would, in that manner, when it's less prescriptive and more engaging, more in the moment, the sessions always finish with people feeling really good, because you're building someone up to sort of a crescendo, or you're taking them to a certain place and then finishing, right? So we're not focused on how many rounds we're going to do this certain thing, or how many repetitions we're going to get per se, but it's like, okay, how many movements, or what movements are we going to work through? How are we going to build off those movements? How are we going to create a circuit? How are we going to extend that circuit? What are the techniques we'll use, etc. So doing that via video was a little bit different, in that people felt a little more rushed to jump into the workouts and move on to the next thing, or wanted to know what the next thing was. And so that is a big barrier for people to break through when starting to teach and train clients remotely, which is what a lot of people are doing right now, are being forced to do. And so they're jumping into something that has, I think, a rather steep learning curve quickly, and then trying to work with their clients, keep their clients via that format, because it's the only format in use right now. And there's obviously some limitations to that, but knowing your clients well and getting them to slow down, being comfortable communicating with each other via this format is good too. So keeping it light, having some conversations, and then just gently starting to move. You as the trainer, I as a trainer, don't need to have you watching me do all the exercises. I need to be able to describe them, watch you move, correct you as best I can. Hopefully don't add anything that's too overwhelming, or too new, too fresh, too confusing to your training. Those things will slow you down. Plus, they're going to build some sort of a barrier, a frustration or barrier, because of the newness, the difficulty, the confusing. Maybe I'm not good at even explaining that exercise, or when I show it, I'm not giving you the proper angles via video. So what we try to do is get those exercises that are in your wheelhouse, or that I can easily show you, you can get good at through repetition, and then we can layer things onto those exercises. And so a certain level of confidence comes from these sessions, because you're not wondering if you're doing it right, okay? And you're able to understand my cueing, my explanations, my adjustments that I give you that are simple, without any sort of hesitation, right? You just gravitate towards it, move right towards it. So these sessions too, people need to realize, if you're not doing a lot of stretching, a lot of static movements, or you're not layering in other forms of training, they need to be between 20 and 27 minutes. So pretty efficient, but that's we're operating out of a micro format here, meaning what you give them in that period, it should open up an idea in their mind that, hey, I can do this a couple times a day if I want more, because I'm not trying to get complete system fatigue. And most people don't have equipment, don't have heavy weights, so you're not loading them too much. We're just working movement patterns, some mobility stuff, a lot of core things, core movements, plank circuits, plank movements, a lot of flow in that way, a lot of maybe light dumbbell work if somebody has it, or some band work, which does take a lot of teaching. But body weight exercise is very effective. It allows you to go really deep. It allows you to transition easily from exercise to exercise. Again, and just putting that good energy in your body. And that's stimulating the mind, and getting you to think and to feel good, from this position of isolation or of less freedom, and from less, often we can explore and grow in certain ways that we didn't think possible, or maybe never had to explore, and so it's a process, but for me, having a client base who's only worked with me in this format at least the last 6-7 years, they've built up their own little home training spaces. And so they have a lot of options. For the newer people, they may only have a couple sets of dumbbells, some sort of a mat, and that might be it. Maybe some bands, maybe even less than that, maybe just body weight, which is fine too. So from those limitations, we expand off of. Now that expansion doesn't necessarily entail buying new equipment, adding to your war chest per se. It's more expanding off what we start to build, your foundation. When you come to me with a need, interest, and motivation, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, we'll use that motivation and put it to good use. And so I, as your coach, am here to motivate, also to give you proper exercise modalities in proper formats, also to use your energy and your trust in me and our hopefully quickly developing relationship, where your honest feedback, my frank questions, get us on the right page quickly, and then bring us to where we need to be towards the end of that session, right? And so that's accountability, and also accessibility is just, it's built into our lifestyles now. We all, if you've got an internet connection, we can get in a Zoom room. We can do a Skype call, FaceTime, WhatsApp. All these video formats work just fine. And yeah, they haven't failed me yet. So I've done training sessions for people from McDonald's, not that I was eating there, but for their Wi-Fi usage, all over the place. I've done it camping in the Rocky Mountains. I've done it in the Bahamas. I've done them in Mexico. Wherever I've been, as long as I could get on and get a connection with my clients, I'm facilitating their workouts. So there's beauty in that too, in that even when the world does open up and you can travel, we can be mobile and have these dynamic lifestyles, that you're still connected with that person who's training you and who's invested in your health at a very high level, and very committed to you and hopefully you to them. And that relationship just kind of grows and expands and it fosters. And I guess you think of it, if you think of it as that there is no outcome or destination, it's just all journey and all process, it's easier to let each week build on each other. I think having this idea that there's an ending, it always weighs on you, because you then judge your progress based on this element of time, which, sometimes the pressures of time have large consequences. Like if you achieve some weight loss goal in 6 weeks, you can easily put everything back on in 4 or 5 days, because that time period ended. Whereas if it's a lifestyle, and if you're building and just trying to continue to be your best self, or just to do different things with your body to make yourself more capable, there's no deadline there. It's just, again, it's all process. It's all what you can do incrementally as you continue on this journey. So If you're curious about online training and how that works and how some of the video format stuff works, let me know. I'm here to answer some questions. My business is Exclusive Fitness. That's the name I created back in 2006. Stuck with it. It doesn't really mean anything. Doesn't have any sort of like underlying tone. I just think, if you want to give a high level of service to your people, it's a way to distinguish yourself. And Exclusive Fitness has been my moniker for a while. And there is a website. It's exclusive without an E, so exclusivefitness.com. Contact me through here, through any form, anywhere you find my information, and I'll be glad to have a conversation with you and just see what we can do and where you're at and if we're a good fit. All right, onward and upward.